Tonight, governorship candidates of the All Progressives Congress emerge across the states of the Federation as party holds primaries ahead of the 2023 general elections and amid protests by rival aspirants. Former President Jonathan slams National Assembly on Section 8412, provision of the Electoral Act wants law expunged from the Act. Suspended DCP Abakari begs court to grant him bail, alleges threat to his life at the Kuje Correctional Center in the Federal Capital Territory. The President departs Abuja to participate in the African Union Extraordinary Session of Assembly of Heads of State and Government in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, with security top on the agenda.
On business news tonight, World Bank chief warns that impact of Russian-Ukraine war could trigger a global recession.
On sports news tonight, world number one Igor Swiatek racks up her 30th successive victory with a straight-set demolition of Alison Risk of the US to reach the French Open third round.
And from Abuja, Supreme Court reserves judgment in the suit filed by the President and the Attorney General of the Federation seeking an interpretation of Section 8412 of the Electoral Act 2022.
And in international news from London, police were urged by onlookers to charge into a school shooting to stop the attacker, with one witness saying he considered doing it himself because he became so frustrated.
It's been decision day for the All Progressives Congress as the ad hoc delegates of the party today came en masse to choose who becomes the party's flag bearers in 28 out of 36 states of the Federation. The exercise in all but 8 states of Bayelsa, Edo, Ondo, Ekiti, Osun, Kogi, Anambra and Imo states due to legal issues which shifted the election timetable from the general election. Already winners have emerged in some states, including Gombe and Yobe, where Governors Inuwa Yahaya and Maimala Buni won the party's tickets, and Lagos and Ogun, where Governors Babajide Sanwo-Olu and Dapo Abiodun have clinched the APC tickets in the south. And we begin from the south, where the process was not without controversy.
The power to decide who represents a political party at the polls lies in the hands of party delegates, which is why these ad hoc delegates of the All Progressives Congress are out in their numbers across southern Nigeria to nominate their preferred governorship candidates ahead of 2023. Here, APC members in Rivers State converge on the Adokia Miesimaka Stadium for the governorship primaries. However, it is laced with controversy, as one of the aspirants, Senator Magnus Abe, says he will not accept the outcome of the exercise, citing credibility issues.
What I will say to Rivers people is that I, Senator Magnus Nge Abe, will be on that ballot.
But at the end of the exercise, Mr. Tonye Cole emerges as the APC governorship candidate in Rivers State after defeating other contestants. In neighboring Abia State, 3 of the aspirants contesting at the primaries walked out of the venue, saying they are not in support of the indirect mode of primaries. But that did not stop the exercise, as Mr. Ekechi Emenike emerged winner after scoring 672 votes to beat other contestants. Controversy also traced the Ogun State governorship primaries as 2 aspirants, Adekunle Akinlade and Biyo Tegbeye, passed a vote of no confidence on the chairman of the governorship election primaries, Wale Ohu. However, the exercise leads to the emergence of incumbent Governor Dapo Abiodun as the governorship candidate of the party after scoring 1,168 votes.
I don't think that a transparent process gets any better than this.
Olusola Sanwo-Olu, having scored the highest number of votes cast, is hereby declared winner.
In Lagos, incumbent Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is declared winner of the APC governorship primaries by the Electoral Committee chairman, which will see him return to the polls to seek a second term in office.
The confidence that you have reposed in us will not betray it, will not disappoint you. We'll ask God to give us renewed energy so that we can take Lagos to a level that will be truly, truly reflective of the aspiration of every of our Lagosian.
However, One of the contestants, Mr. Awale Oluo, who did not show up for the exercise, alleges exclusion and breach of electoral guidelines. In Delta State, Deputy Senate President Senator Ovioma Agege clinched the APC governorship ticket.
The winner of this election is Senator Ovioma Agege.
After defeating other aspirants.
That Delta, the new Delta, will be erected based on the acronym EDGE. We're going to focus on the creation and expansion of employment and empowerment for our people.
Francis Ogbonna Nwufuru, having scored the highest number of votes cast, is hereby declared winner.
Enter Ebonyi State, where the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Mr. Ogbonna Nwufuru, secured the party's governorship ticket with 743 votes ahead of other aspirants.
We'll have more about how the results unfolded in Rivers State in just a bit. But in the northern part of the country, the All Progressives Congress also held its governorship and House of Assembly primaries ahead of the 2023 general elections. In some states, the exercise began on time, while the process was delayed in others. Some of the sitting governors who returned unopposed and have been declared winners of the primaries are the governors of Zamfara, Yobe, and Gombe states.
In Nasarawa State, north-central Nigeria, the incumbent governor, Abdullahi Sule, has begun his journey to be re-elected for a second term, as he emerged winner of the primaries after scoring 698 votes to beat his closest rival, Fatima Abdullahi, who polled just 3 votes.
My number one satisfaction is that Nasarawa State has again proved that we can carry out any exercise in peace. And I'm hoping that the general election will also come and take place and be concluded in peace. What you are trying to do, Dr. Fatima, like you rightly mentioned, is a move that eventually in this country is going to bring out all our women, especially in northern part of the country.
Meanwhile, Yobe State Governor Maimala Buni polled 805 votes to also win, while his Zamfara State counterpart, Bello Matawale, who polled 733 votes, also won the primaries in his state.
I commend all our stakeholders for their loyalty and the show of commitment to the ideals of our party. I equally ask every member of our great party to preserve and work hard to ensure the successful completion of remaining aspects of this convention and primary elections exercise. As the present current ruling political party, the APC should, by the special grace of Almighty Allah, continue to steer the affair of the state after the 2023 elections and beyond with higher sense of responsibility to set the pace and the journey towards strengthening our democracy.
For the governor of Gombe State, Inuwa Yahaya, the overwhelming affirmation of his mandate to return as the governor of the state will spur him to deliver more dividends of democracy and build on the successes recorded. But in Taraba State, the primaries has taken a new twist as the committee sent to conduct the primaries says it will adopt the direct mode of primaries instead of the indirect mode earlier communicated to the aspirants. However, as at the time of filing this report, the process is yet to begin in the state, just as the governorship primaries in Kano and Kaduna are also yet to start.
And apparently, former President Goodluck Jonathan is not pleased with some of the controversial sections of the Electoral Act, which is why he's criticizing the National Assembly over certain provisions in the law. Dr. Jonathan, who was speaking at an event in Abuja, says the laws made by the current Assembly appears to target individuals and not for the good of the country. The former president believes parties should enjoy certain liberties in the conduct of their activities.
Issues of political party administration dominate discussion at the official presentation of a book by former Minister of State for Power, Mr. Mohammed Wakil. This is perhaps the first time that former President Goodluck Jonathan will be meeting physically with the former chairman of INEC, Professor Atahiru Jega, after the 2015 general elections.
Thank you.
Done with the pleasantries, the former president, who is a special guest of honor, takes a swipe at the National Assembly over what he describes as laws made to constrict political parties.
The National Assembly cannot make laws and lock up all the political parties together. Political parties must have the leverage of doing certain things differently.
He calls for the removal of Section 84, Subsection 12 of the Electoral Act, as he berates those condemning President Buhari for refusing to sign the amended Electoral Act.
And I believe that the best way for us to make our laws is to institutionalize democracy. This section, this 84, so that the controversial section that has been amended. To me, if you read through that law, 80% or more of that section have nothing to do with us, supposed to be expunged from the Electoral Act.
The book reviewer identifies the question of ideology and marginalization of females and persons with disability as one of the problems bedeviling political party governance.
The marginalization of the female gender, persons with disability, PWDs, the youth, and other minorities in our society, plus the other sundry issues relating to the subject matter of the book, how to foster good governance.
On his part, the author highlights the essence of the book.
We are missing from the foundation. If you don't fix the political party, which is the vehicle, then automatically you cannot get a good leaders. Why you can now get a good governance.
With the speeches over, former President Goodluck Jonathan officially presents the book to the public. As the nation prepares for party primaries, the former president was silent on his purported presidential ambition as journalists were prevented from reaching him to speak about it.
We'll have more on the Electoral Act 2022 in just a moment. However, President Muhammadu Buhari has departed Abuja to participate in the African Union Extraordinary Session of Assembly of Heads of State and Government in Malabo, the Equatorial Guinea capital, with a special focus on security. Hosted by President Buhari's media aide, Mr. Garba Shehu, notes of the three-day summit, which holds from today, May 26th to the 28th, will also focus on the humanitarian challenges in Africa, with related issues on migration, refugees, returnees, and internally displaced persons. At the summit, the African leaders will look at terrorism and unconstitutional change of government, with the attendant spiraling effects of human rights and economies. President Buhari will also hold sideline meetings with some leaders during the meetings. Mrs. Aisha Buhari, who is the president of the African First Ladies Peace Mission, is accompanying her husband to the African Union meeting. President Buhari will be accompanied by Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeffrey Onyama, Minister of Defense, General Bashir Magashi, among others. In part two, after the break, suspended DCP Abba Kyari begs court to grant him bail, alleges threat to his life at the Kuje Correctional Center in the Federal Capital Territory. That's in a moment. We'll join us again. Welcome back. If it has joined us to watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Governorship candidates of the All Progressives Congress emerge across states of the Federation as party holds primaries ahead of the 2023 general elections amid protests by rival aspirants. Former President Jonathan slams National Assembly on Section 8412. Provision of the Electoral Act wants law expunged from the Act. Suspended DCP Abba Kyari begs court to grant him bail, alleges threat to his life at the Kuje Correctional Center in the Federal Capital Territory. The President departs Abuja to participate in the AU Extraordinary Session of Assembly of Heads of State and Government in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea. And here's Malpo Ogun for more on the news at 10. Hi, Malpo.
Hello, Amarachi. Indeed, we have some more on the controversial sections of the Electoral Act as the Apex Court has reserved judgment in the suit filed by President Muhammadu Buhari and the Attorney General of the Federation seeking an interpretation of Section 84, Subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022. The seven-man panel led by Justice Mohammed Datijo says the date will be communicated to the parties involved in the suit. The Supreme Court arrived at this conclusion after taking arguments from parties and adopting their processes.
The controversy surrounding Section 84, Subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022 will soon come to an end, as the Supreme Court of Nigeria has reserved judgment to a later date that will be communicated to the parties involved. President Muhammadu Buhari and the Attorney General of the Federation had filed a suit seeking legal interpretation of the section, seeking to be joined in the suit as interested parties. While APGA later withdrew its application for joinder, the Nigeria Bar Association was joined in the suit as an impartial advisor by the panel. Citing the Supreme Court's Additional Jurisdiction Act, the defendants say the president lacks a local standi and it's outside his jurisdiction to institute such a suit, as he is not directly affected by Section 84, Subsection 12 of the Electoral Act. He said the appointees affected by the section should have been the ones to institute the suit for being shut out from exercising their rights.
The challenge is on different grounds. In fact, we have 26 grounds, and these are being ventilated. This has been presented to the court, and it's now for the court to now decide whether such ground can be sustained.
However, the counsel to the president opposed this notion, stating that the president has not committed any abuse of court process. Rather, he should be commended and not vilified. He adds that the president signed the Electoral Act, but asked the National Assembly to take a second look at the said section.
You don't jump. When the decision comes, then you decide what to do with it. And in any event, don't forget, the decision or the declaration that the president is seeking is not for his own personal interest. It's not contesting any election. So, and also, it is also for the future. It's both for the present and for the future. So, but when we get to that bridge, we will cross it.
Many Nigerians keenly await the decision of the Apex Court on the contentious Section 84, Subsection 12, as it will put to rest issues surrounding the said section.
In other legal matters, the detained Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, has filed a motion requesting the court to revisit his bail application. The application, which is predicated on the ground that his life is under threat, was filed by his counsel, Dr. Onyechi Ikpeazu, at a federal high court sitting in Abuja. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
Suspended DCP Abba Kyari is in the Federal High Court, Abuja, for the continuation of hearing in the suit filed against him by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency for allegedly tampering with 25 kilograms of cocaine. He wants the court to revisit his bail application, which was filed on May the 12th. He told the court through his team of lawyers that the review of his bail application has become necessary in view of the threat to his life. However, the prosecution counsel opposes the application on the grounds that he was not served a copy but only got wind of it in the open court. He also cites Section 306 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, insisting that the request is against the provision of the law. In a brief ruling, Justice Emeka Nwite held that in the interest of justice, the court would adjourn the matter to enable parties exchange necessary court processes. The judge subsequently fixed June the 14th, 2022 for the continuation of hearing in the matter. Aside from Mr. Kyari, 3 other police officers that are equally on trial over the alleged offense also want the court to okay their release on bail on safety grounds. While the court is adjourned, it appears Mr. Abba Kyari and his colleagues will have to spend more time at the Kuje Correctional Facility in Abuja until the court reconvenes.
Just for clarity, that report was filed by our correspondent, Emperor Simon. While staying with legal matters, a lawyer to the embattled former Imo State governor and serving lawmaker, Senator Rochas Okorocha, is criticizing the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, for keeping the lawmaker in custody for more than 48 hours without charging him to court. In an interview with Channels Television, the lawyer, Professor Nnamdi Obiariri, says the EFCC is yet to communicate with the family of Senator Okorocha on its next line of action after raiding his Maitama Abuja home and arresting him on Tuesday, May the 24th, over allegations of diversion of public funds and property to the tune of 2.9 billion naira.
EFCC set out, from what we are seeing, to do some basic mischief by not taking the defendant and the charge directly to the court. So even if the judge rightly strikes out the matter, what they are supposed to do is come back, invite the defendant and take him to court. Even from what we see or from what we have heard from his family members, EFCC has not made any further comments. They owe Nigerians a duty to make explanations. This is a high-caliber Nigerian citizen. The law is not a respecter of persons, but it does not despise people. A serving senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is not somebody who can just pick the way and manner they picked him. Nobody knows his state of health, and you're not speaking about it. You're not updating Nigerians on what next steps you need to take. They are supposed to be ready. If the charge was to be presented before a judge on the 30th, there's no law which says you will go and take him 1 week before that time and hold him at your own pleasure. That is naked usurpation of judicial powers and the complete abnegation of constitutional provisions. His rights have been trampled upon, and that suggests to us that the right of the average Nigerian citizen is at risk.
In other news, human rights activist Mr. Femi Falana is asking the governor of the central bank, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, to immediately resign from his post following his involvement in partisan politics. The senior advocate of Nigeria, who spoke at a stakeholders conference in Ado-Ekiti, the state capital, says the CBN governor's position is not for politicians, as it could lead to compromise.
It has never happened in any part of the world before, not even in banana republics. Never. That the governor of the central bank of the country be a politician. It's a very dangerous phenomenon. You need to know what it means. The powers are so enormous under the CBN Act and the Buffet Act. You can't. The governor is empowered, for instance, to revoke the license of a bank. So if his political opponent has a bank, he can wipe out the bank in 1 second. And that's the end. The governor can remove the MD of a bank. And that can be done politically. For this reason, we are calling on President Muhammadu Buhari. INEC, please, INEC, you can't tell us. It's not correct, as Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has said. Oh, because of the fact that the governor of the central bank is now a politician, we are going to look for another place to keep our material. No! It's the other way around. It is the governor that will have to be removed because of apparent conflict of interest.
Well, what is news without controversy? That's all from our Abuja studios. It's back to you, Amarachi.
Thanks a lot, Malpa, and we'll continue with electoral matters here. And in Rivers State, where the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the state, Mr. Tonye Cole, has promised to prioritize education, youth development, industrialization, and more if elected as governor of the state. Mr. Cole was speaking shortly after winning the party's ticket. He is confident his emergence will bring victory to the APC in 2023.
The contingent from Eche, you can proceed a little bit further.
Delegates of the All Progressives Congress, APC in Rivers State, like all others across the country, join in the process to select who flies the party's flag in the governorship election come 2023.
Ikwere local government, please be ready.
Voting done with, The State Governorship Primary Committee goes on to sort the ballot.
Ojukai. Tonye. Ojukai. Tonye.
After the sorting, counting begins.
983, 984, 985, 986.
And 6 hours into the exercise, a winner emerges, polling 986 out of the 1,295 valid votes.
In line with the guidelines and as a returning officer of this exercise, I hereby certify that Architect Tonye Cole, having scored the highest number of votes cast in this exercise, is hereby declared winner and returned elected, and as such, candidate of our great party, the All Progressives Congress. Thank you very much.
In his acceptance speech, the Rivers APC governorship flag bearer highlights his vision.
This journey has been a long journey, but I would like to thank specifically Right Honorable Chibike Rotimi Amechi for believing in this process and seeing that we have emerged where we are today is also to the glory of God. The journey is long, but it's just beginning. I want to assure the entire River State that what you are seeing here is a change for the better. We are bringing dignity back to this state. APC is on a mission in River State to bring hope to the hopeless, to bring back a future for our youth, to ensure that they have an education that they will not ever regret, to open up an environment that young people can express their talents, to bring industrialization back to this state.
He also extends the olive branch to the disgruntled.
I want to state firmly that we have always said that as soon as anyone emerges through the primaries, that we would all come together as one family to support. I had made the promise that if I was not the one that emerged from these primaries, I would support everyone, including Senator Magnus Abbey. Today, I'm calling on Senator Magnus Abbey to lay down the sword and come and let us build this state to a greater state.
The other contenders in the election are Ibinabo Michael West, Ojukai Flagamakri, Bernard Miko, and Senator Magnus Abbey.
Still ahead on the news at 10, World Bank chief warns that impact of Russian invasion of Ukraine could trigger a global recession. We'll have details in business news. Do join us again. Welcome back. Some Nigerian brands have made it to this year's Top 100 in Africa. The award, which is a brainchild of Brand Africa and supported by South Africa Tourism, recognizes African brands that are shaping the narrative of Africa's competitiveness in global economy. And brands like Dangote, Channels Television, DSTV, and more won awards in their nominated categories.
Over a decade ago, an idea was crystallized which aimed at creating a narrative for Africa and from an African perspective. It's 12 years since the first edition, and Nigeria is proudly hosting Brands Africa Awards 2022.
Africa pulsates with opportunities.
Brands have become the barometer for a people's identity, a country's reference. Today, through a consumer-led survey, Africa brands have moved up from 3% of the top 100 global brands to 17% of that pie.
It is time to give the world African brands that travel. Don't you agree?
Nigerian brands, and proudly so, are in the mix of the Brand African 100 and as vehicles of image and competitiveness.
Dangote leads the pack.
So, after plowing through thousands of lists, coding them, the pulsating evening is for the winners.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Dangote.
Leading the pack, GT Bank.
MTN, Dangote, GT Bank, DSTV, Channels Television are the big winners of the night.
This process was rigorous, and what's so incredible is that the powerful brands, the ones that resonate, that sit in our lives, that are in our hearts, our minds, they come through strong every single year.
It is in recognition of Nigeria's contribution that the event is holding in the country, and much more as reasons why the South African Tourism, a destination marketing organization, is associating with brands in Africa.
What we are saying as South African Tourism is we are going to collaborate and co-create with those brands to make sure that we are giving Nigerians that of which they are looking for, so that when they choose South Africa, they get what they were looking for, and ultimately in the future, they keep coming back to South Africa, because if they keep coming back to South Africa, that is them voting for us as the top destination, and the vote will come in the form of them taking that holiday to South Africa.
The fulfillment is the fact that we are here tonight and that we are appreciating the process and we're celebrating ourselves. And we get to see a brand like Dangote as the #1 and most admired brand in Nigeria, a brand like GT Bank as the most admired financial services brand, a brand like Channels TV as the most admired media brand in Nigeria. So, of course, it's fulfilling when Africans acknowledge and Africans respect the process.
According to the organizers, all the brands that won were voted by the consumers.
More from that award, and your multiple award-winning station, Channels Television, also emerged as Brand Africa's most admired Nigerian brand. And as in that ceremony held in Lagos, Dangote Group, MTN and others also emerged winners. The results were collated from direct feedback from consumers across Africa using GeoPoll. Our correspondent Olumide Macaulay has more.
The venue in Lagos stands stark against the sky majestic. Like a maestro, the violinist serenades the guests in the foyer. Who the cap fits, let them wear it. The real thrones for the occasion are for some of those seated in the hall, who will emerge as the best brands in Africa.
It's been a wonderful journey, Brand Africa.
A panel ensues which reveal how the best brands are chosen from a Pan-African survey across at least 28 countries that account for over 80% of Africa's population and GDP, using direct mobile web methodology conducted by GeoPoll.
We've done mobile surveys in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, basically. And we also have about a database of about 250 million people.
The Deputy Governor, Financial System Stability, Central Bank of Nigeria, Aisha Ahmed, delivering the keynote address virtually from Abuja.
Africa has indeed evolved, and through this evolution, the continent continues to rediscover itself and its potential.
Passion for African brands resonates in the speech of the chairman of Brand Africa, South African Tebi Ikalafeng.
Our challenge as Africans is we reject everything that is made in Africa because we think that anything that is not made in Africa elevates us. Our job is to create and to share with the world who we are.
Nigeria's finest marketing communications practitioners.
The big reveal, as the Africa Brand Leadership Excellence Award in Industry goes to advertising doyen, Chairman Troika Group, Dr. Biodun Shobandra.
51 years ago, when I ventured into the profession that was to define who I eventually became, I'd been carried away by the exploits of such great men as Leo Burnett, Rosa Reeves, David Ogilvy, and Bill Bamberg, to mention a few.
Other brands that won awards include Dangote Group for Most Admired Brand that symbolizes African pride, GT Bank for Most Admired Financial Services Brand, MTN for #1 brand building African country,
AIT, NTA, #1 most admired Nigerian brand, Channels TV.
and your darling TV station, Channels Television, for Most Admired Nigerian Media Brand. Received by the AGM Operations, Channels Television, Mr. Kingsley Uranta, and Company Secretary, Mrs. Diola Olumio.
We are particularly grateful to Brand Africa and the trustees for choosing Channels Television and for making us this honor. Rest assured, as Africa's most decorated media organization, we would continue to ensure that we entrench or help to entrench good governance, responsible journalism, responsible citizenry in the interest of our country, our dear country, Nigeria, our dear continent, Africa, and indeed the rest of the world. And to our viewers all over the world, thank you for believing in us. Thank you so much.
Some of the criteria used in the survey to choose the best brands in Africa include acceptability, credibility, reliability, and efficiency. Olumide Macaulay, Channels Television News.
Huge congratulations to us then. Time for business news now. Here's Melinda Akilami.
Many thanks, Amarachi. Welcome to Business News. World Bank Chief David Malpass has warned that the Russia-Ukraine conflict could cause a global recession as the price of food, energy and fertilizers continue to rise sharply. He says that a series of coronavirus lockdowns in China are adding to concerns about a slowdown. This is the latest warning by the World Bank over the rising risk many economies may face in the days to come. Earlier last month, the World Bank cut its global economic growth forecast for this year by almost a full percentage point, that's 3.2%. The African Development Bank says it's working to help scale up the domestic production of essential grains such as wheat in Nigeria and other African countries as well, with its $1.5 billion African Emergency Food Production Facility. The AFDB Vice President for Agriculture, Human and Social Development, Beth Dunford, says even before the war in Ukraine, Nigeria was spending too much on wheat importation. Now, wheat prices have risen by over 60% this year due to the invasion. Ukraine and Russia account for 1/3 of global wheat exports.
We're really seeking to reduce the dependency of Nigeria and other countries on the continent of costly wheat imports. Right now, Nigeria imports 5.4 million metric tons of wheat a year. It's a lot of money, even in times when we don't have a war in Ukraine. So our $1.5 billion African Emergency Food Production Facility is seeking to take these new technologies that, again, did not exist before and get them out to farmers at scale to reach 20 million farmers with improved varieties and the inputs they need in order to scale up their production right here on the continent, to reduce this dependency on imports right now, and also really to provide that foundation for that transformation we need in agriculture to really increase productivity over the long term.
Some company news now. Stanbig Ibtc Holdings PLC has declared a final dividend of 200 Kobo per share for its shareholders for the year ended 2021. The chairman, Mr. Basil Omiyi, announced this at the group's 10th annual general meeting held at Eco Hotel and Suites in Lagos.
It's the 10th annual general meeting of Stanbig Ibtc Holdings PLC, and the group's effort to deepen the level of service to customers and deliver more value to stakeholders comes to the fore. The group also prides itself in its remarkable financial solutions established to align with its customer-focused aspirations.
May I take the opportunity to commend management on its response to the pandemic last year, which has ensured minimal disruption to our business operations. Your board will continue to support management in navigating these unprecedented times in human history, mindful of our service promise to our customers and the need to deliver sustainable long-term value to our esteemed shareholders.
A brief highlight of the group's financial results for the year ended December 31st, 2021 shows total assets increased by 10% to 2.7 trillion naira, non-performing loans decreased by 23% to 20.3 billion naira, non-performing loan to total loan ratio of 2.1%, and customer deposits increased by 37% to 1.1 trillion naira. And the management restates its commitment to their customers.
We are able to find opportunities to create value, first and foremost for our customers, by extending loan facilities to them. We grew our loan portfolio by over 40%, and we are also able to extend what you can call value to our shareholders, because the same year, apart from paying interim dividend of 1 naira, we paid final dividend of 2 naira.
Stanbig Ibtc continues to look at how best we can serve our clients. So our focus continues to be growing the business and seeing how we can contribute to driving Nigeria's economy in the right direction.
This is the first physical annual general meeting the group will hold since the COVID-19 pandemic.
At the equities market, the NGX sustained yesterday's positive numbers as bellwether stocks rise in share price. Laddie Williams has the rest of the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, it was a positive outing today, sustaining yesterday's rebound amid sell-offs and buy interest as the benchmark all-share index appreciated by 1.06%. Well, you can call it the return of the big boys with the likes of MTN Nigeria, Zenith, Lafarge Africa, Access Core and others in the green today, taking the NGX back into bullish territory. Looking at the sectoral performance today, we see the banking counter getting some action. It's up over 1%. Previously, sectoral performance mostly in the red. Talking about red, the oil and gas counter is still down, with loss from O&O. Its stock price closed down 2.4%. Well, the market breadth is positive today with Industrial and Medical Gases Nigeria PLC topping that counter, leading about 24 gainers, while NPF, Microfinance Bank PLC, led 11 losers to close at 1 naira 84 kobo. The trio of Transcore, Access Core and GTCO led the top trades by volume today. Well, final trading day for the week tomorrow. Fingers crossed for the weekly close. And that's the Stock Market Report. It's back to you, Melinda.
That's business news. It's back to you, Amarachi.
Thanks a lot, Melinda. U.S. Democratic senators today joined gun control activists to condemn the shooting at Robb Elementary School, Uvalde, in Texas. It comes as a witness says police were urged by onlookers to charge into the school to stop the attacker. Simon Pusey has more in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Witnesses say police were urged to charge into a deadly school shooting in Texas by onlookers, with one suggesting he considered doing so himself as he became frustrated.
Lord, we come in agony. We come with broken.
Hundreds gathered in Uvalde, Texas to remember the victims of the deadly shooting at a local elementary school. Texas officials say gunman Salvador Ramos was inside the school for up to an hour before he was killed. 19 children and 2 adults died, while 17 others were injured. Authorities said the gunman locked himself in a classroom, which officers then struggled to gain access to. Ukraine says Russian forces have attacked more than 40 towns in the eastern Donetsk and Luhansk region. Russia's defense ministry released footage of an Iskander-K missile launch against an unnamed military target. The cities of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk in the Donbass had earlier come under intense bombardment. According to the head of the local military civil administration, the key cities have been under constant fire for the past week and a half. Meanwhile, the mayor of Kyiv says the over 3-month-long war in Ukraine has felt like one non-stop day.
I'm very proud.
The former heavyweight boxing champion Vitaly Klitschko told members attending the last day of the World Economic Forum in Davos. Ukraine has been at the top of the agenda at the 4-day meeting that has gathered some 2,000 business and economic leaders. Klitschko said it was difficult to explain what was going on in Kyiv.
I'm very proud to be the part of our society who tough and defend our homeland, our home city from Russians.
Ministers from the world's wealthiest democracies have met in Berlin in an attempt to keep climate change goals on track. The talks come at a time when concerns over climate change are being overshadowed by spiralling energy costs and fuel supply worries sparked by the war in Ukraine. Energy, climate and environmental ministers from the group of G7 countries want to reaffirm a commitment to cap global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius and protect biodiversity at the meeting. Campaigners had urged the G7 group of the world's wealthiest democracies to make clear commitments that the fallout of the Ukraine war would not derail their targets.
The message to the world is we are behind. We are not where we need to be post-Glasgow. We need to accelerate dramatically, and we cannot fall into this false narrative that because of Ukraine, there is now an excuse to have to go pump out and build an entire new generation of infrastructure. That will be catastrophic unless it comes with all of the mitigation and abatement, the capturing of emissions.
President Macky Sall says 11 newborn babies have died in a hospital fire in the western city of Tivaouane in Senegal. The fire at Mame Abdou Aziz Si Dabak Hospital was in the maternity department. Initial reports suggest the fire was caused by a short circuit. 3 babies were saved from the fire, according to officials. The country's health minister said an investigation was underway and he would be cutting his trip short to return to Senegal immediately. The incident has sparked a wave of indignation on social media over the state of the country's healthcare provision. The UN says more than 80,000 people displaced by clashes in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo are in urgent need of food. Fighting between government soldiers and M23 rebels has intensified in recent weeks in North Kivu province. The clashes spread south early this week to about 20 kilometers from Goma town, the provincial capital. Humanitarian agencies fear the worst for the refugees if the hostilities continue. And finally, the London Eye is set to transform one of its 32 pods into a 1950s-style pub to celebrate the Queen's Jubilee later this month. Visitors will be able to step back in time to Her Majesty's Coronation Day and grab one of Queen Elizabeth's favourite tipples while 135 metres in the air to celebrate her 70th year on the throne.
Just for this.
Don't worry, guys.
Built in the form of a classic British pub, the Queen's Head places guests inside a 1950s pub on the day Elizabeth II ascended to the throne. Guests will be served a choice of Beefeater gin and Dubonnet-based cocktails, widely known to be the monarch's drink of choice. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Around 7,000 police officers will be on duty to marshal fans during Saturday's UEFA Champions League final in Paris, where as many as 40,000 ticketless Liverpool supporters are expected. Only around 20,000 supporters each from Liverpool and Real Madrid are officially able to watch the eagerly awaited match at the Stade de France. The Paris city authorities have prepared a vast fan zone for up to 45,000 Liverpool supporters in the working-class neighbourhood in the west of Paris, 10 kilometres from the stadium. Nigerian table tennis star Aaron Okodri has qualified for the second round of the 2022 IWTF Africa Cup. Aruna defeated Hamidou Sow of Senegal in straight sets 11-4, 11-6, 11-6 in the opening Group 1 game. The continent's #1 ranked player followed it up with another straight set victory over fellow compatriot Saidi Dowu to finish top of the group. That's Sports News. I'm Ayotunde Balu.
Thanks, Tunde. And the main news again. Governorship candidates of the All Progressives Congress today emerged across states of the Federation as the party held primaries ahead of the 2023 general elections amid protests by rivals. Among the winners are Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State and Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State, as well as Governor Inouye of Gombe State and Mai Mala Buni of Yobe State. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night.